with somatic movements, what we are looking for is small movements that we can do that do not cause pain. If there is pain, we want to stop. We want to recalibrate, adjust the body as it's needed to find ease. So the whole thing is to kind of get out of how we actually move and how allowing ourselves to think through the movement, knowing that when we have been avoiding a movement, we will, if we allow ourselves to go into it, sometimes there is an emotional response to it. And so giving space for that, should that arrive. Everything that, of course, happens in here is all confidential. And so when we talk about movements, it is what we call a pendiculation. And so it's, you know, when a cat wakes up and they do a stretch, or the same with the dogs, and they do that slow and steady, big stretch, and then they slowly come out of it. That's what we're going to invite our body to do. So it's that slow, focused movement. Right there. So pendiculation involves part of the brain called the motor cortex. It's a two-part process. First, you'll make a comfortable, voluntary contraction of the muscle groups. Second, you'll do a slow, controlled release, allowing the muscles to go into relaxation. This process naturally lengthens tight and painful muscles. So when we think of things that are achy, a lot of times they're very contracted. So we're going to increase the contraction, and then we're going to invite a conscious, controlled lengthening, not stretching, just lengthening of that contraction, only to what is comfortable. Again, if there's any pain in anything that we do, we stop, because we don't want to recreate pain. We want to be curious and find the edges, just like with somatic work. And so that allowing that controlled lengthening or elongation is going to help the system find a new place of neutral, a new reset point. And so what areas of your guys' bodies bring concern today?
Well, my long-standing back and rib problems.
Okay.
And this hip hurts, but it's because of my back.
Okay. And Deborah?
I would say for me it's upper back, but shoulder and neck, and of course my arm. I was in an accident. My arm was run over.
Ouch.
And so I know I'm holding stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel it now. And then through here, and then through, because it's all affected on both right
Mm-hmm.
side. And I have the prosthetic here, so there's some of that that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know my spots.
Yeah.
There's these spaces and places that just,
They have stories, right? And so we want to honor those stories. We want to give them space to be held, so to speak, right? We want to be able to honor if we've been told not to do any particular movements. We want to honor that, and we will modify movements at that point if need be. And so what I'll do is I'll speak through the movements and really allow yourself to get curious about the words that I use to direct the movements. Okay? And so for start, we're going to do a soma scan. And so just allowing yourself to lay comfortably. You can have a pillow underneath your knees, underneath your head. Your knees can be straight or long, whatever is comfortable for you. Knowing that even in these moments, if you want a little blanket or anything, all you need to do is ask. Because our goal is for comfort. We want to help our system know what comfort is. Because all too often when we are in that pain cycle, we don't get to have space to know what ease and comfort is. So how somatics differs from other modalities and how the central nervous system is involved. Our nervous system tells us which muscles to contract and when to release them. It tells our body how to stand or sit, even when we are not moving or when we are moving. Our nervous system runs the whole show. Your nervous system is the director of your show, and you are the star. For somatic education to be effective, we must engage the central nervous system. In other types of movement work, the client is often passive, as in massage or chiropractic or even Reiki. While these treatments have their time and their place, we're looking to create a long-standing change in your nervous system, inviting the truth of your system to come forward, for you to remember what ease is like. Which means that sometimes pain or discomfort that you have felt in the past may return, and giving space to honor that and to create lasting change, you must create new neural pathways, and that is what we will be working on today. To do this, you must be actively moving, as in contracting and releasing / relaxing your muscles. And in this space, we may hear sounds about us, and we invite those sounds to draw us into our own witnessing even deeper and even more. Today, we are going to help create new neural pathways. And so allowing ourselves with this Soma scan to notice, allowing our attention and our awareness to our breath. Noticing, is it shallow or deep? Does it feel like it has full expansion? Or is it little? Where in our body can we notice our breath move to? And allowing our awareness now to go to our head and our neck. Noticing through the scalp and the face. Just noticing. Noticing if there's any tensions and how the head is placed. Is it resting centrally or to the left or to the right? Is the chin close to the chest or far away? Allowing ourselves just to notice what we notice. And moving our attention into our shoulders, our pecs, and back into our shoulder blades. Noticing, is one shoulder higher than the other? Is one shoulder blade harder into the floor? Do the shoulder blades feel balanced on the floor? And are the shoulders pressed into the floor or up to the ceiling? Noticing any tightness in the chest. Moving our awareness down into our arms and our hands. Noticing where our arms and hands are in relation to our body. Are they close to our body? Are they resting on our body? Are the palms up towards the ceiling, towards the body, or down towards the floor? Just noticing. And bringing our awareness into our mid-back. Noticing as we breathe how the breath expands, maybe on one side more than the other. Noticing the presence of the side of the back on the floor more or less on one side than the other. Moving our attention down into the lower back, hips, and pelvis. Allowing ourselves to be curious if one hip feels higher than the other. Noticing if your sacrum settles to the floor, or can you notice it? And is there tension through the pelvis and lower abdomen? Does one hip feel more weighted into the floor than the other? Does one feel lighter and hovering? Moving our attention now into our legs, down into the knees and shins, ankles, and feet. Noticing if your legs are long or if they're bent. Noticing if our toes are pointed out to the side walls or in towards each other. Noticing just what we notice. Does one leg feel longer than the other? Does one leg feel tighter than the other? And so for today, we're going to allow any movement strategies that we have been trained in, Pilates, yoga, exercise. We're going to allow all that instruction just to be set aside as we allow ourselves to try something new. We're going to do all movements today like they're in slow motion. And the reason for this is the slower the movement, the more perception we have into change. Engaging the motor cortex, new neural pathways are developed. A new resting level can be discovered. So allowing ourselves to listen to our soma, and again, soma is body. And somatic is the interiorization of the experience. Knowing that anything and nothing can arise, and just allowing whatever may be to be. Somatic exercise changes your muscular system by changing your nervous system. We're going to invite you today to really notice in, as we do movements, if we notice any sensor motor amnesia. And what that looks like when we're doing our movement is like driving over the rimple strips on the side of the road when it goes chuk, 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 chuk. Or when a computer screen kind of glitches, it's not fluid. Or sometimes it's that our movement will speed up and then slow down again. Those areas are what we call sensor motor amnesia. It is that area that we want to help rewrite, to refine the information that our system knows but has forgotten. When you're able to recognize it within yourself, allow your focus and your attention into that movement. You move your body back to just before that sensor motor amnesia happened and taking it through again. So it's like when we're doing sandpaper on a project and we're trying to make it smooth, and how we have to go over the same spot, sometimes many times. And so we take it back just before the sensor motor amnesia, and we begin it again. And if we notice it again, we take it back and we continue on again. We want to learn to adjust the somatic exercises so they are not painful. We want to help our system learn that not having pain can be an option. So focus and learn how to release all the contractions smoothly and with control. That is the ventriculation we were talking about before. And as we reboot our nervous systems, you may experience mindfulness, tranquility, and serenity. Don't be in pain. Allow yourself to retrain your brain. So taking a moment to allow yourself to bring your feet flat on the floor so your knees are raised to the ceiling. And adjusting anything that you need to along the way. We're going to be laying on our backs with our knees bent, our feet flat on the floor. Our arms can rest in any position that is comfortable. And as we think about our inhale, we're going to allow our belly button to rise up to the ceiling. We're going to practice a technique called tilting and releasing. So as we breathe in, our belly button rises to the ceiling. And as we breathe out, we'll feel it flatten, and our back will connect slowly to the floor as we move past neutral. Breathing in, that belly button goes up to the ceiling, and out, our belly button goes down to the floor. Our back will connect to the floor as we do so, allowing yourself just to breathe, noticing this as I continue to draw your attention to other areas. As we breathe in, that belly button rises to the ceiling. We may notice a tilt of the tailbone down to the floor. As we breathe out, that belly button comes past neutral, and our back will gently flatten to the floor. That tip of the tailbone will rise up to the ceiling. As we breathe in, that tailbone draws down gently. As we breathe out, the tailbone rises up to the ceiling gently. As we breathe in, tailbone tilts down, back arches very gently. As we breathe out, tip of the tailbone goes up, back flattens to the floor, and allowing our attention to be brought further up the spinal column. And as we breathe in, that back will gently arch. Noticing, do the shoulders have a gentle movement in this as well? As we breathe in, do we notice the shoulders coming down to the floor a little bit? When we breathe out, the shoulders come up to the ceiling. Just allowing ourselves to be curious about how our whole body engages in this breathing pattern. And 2 more times at your own pace. A full breath in, the back gently arches. Shoulder blades down to the floor. And as we breathe out, a lengthening in through that back body as the back connects to the floor. And one more time, just with curiosity, for you to allow yourself to notice what you notice. Really listening to your system. If we need it to be warmer in here, please let me know. Do you want your system to find ease? Yeah, I'm gonna bring in the heater because I turned up the heat, and sometimes a blanket can be an option, and other times it will just impede the motion that we want to do. And so from this position, what we're going to do is we're going to see our body and move it into a wash rag position. So we're going to allow our arms to stretch out at 90 beside our body. And so like our body is a T. And so allowing our arms to go out balanced with where our shoulders are. So they are out like a T versus a Y. Wonderful. And so if I may, Deborah, we're just going to invite them to come a little bit more here if that is comfortable for you. Again, really honoring your system, right? And so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to turn the right palm down towards the floor, leaving the left up to the ceiling. Again, really honoring your system with curiosity with any of these movements. We want to move from the shoulders, not the elbows. And so very gently changing the position of the arms. So rotating that right palm up to the ceiling and that left palm down to the floor. Seeing if you can rotate from the shoulders versus the elbows. And on your next breath, when it feels right for you, again, rotating from the shoulders, changing the hand positions. Again, if there's pain or anything, this is not the movement for you. We need to adjust it in accordance. On the next one, see if you can do it at the same time, allowing the left and the right hands to change position at the same time, slowly with control. And if it feels right for you, I invite you now to look towards the palm that is up. And so the neck movement too is going to be very controlled and with awareness. And so when you're ready, slowly with control, changing the hand positions and allowing the head to turn slowly towards the hand that is rolling upward to the ceiling. And just notice as you do so, what you notice in your body. Is it fluid or is it janky? Is there pain? If there's pain, we don't want to. And so allowing yourself slowly with control to adjust your body how you might feel a little more ease. The arms might not want to be quite at 90 so much. And slowly with control, when you're ready, changing the hand positions at the same pace, slow and with control, moving the head in the direction of the palm that is opening up to the ceiling. When we're there, we're going to be curious about our lower part of our body. Again, really honoring your soma, allowing your knees to drift to the opposite direction of what your head is looking. So if your head is looking right, your knees will gently drift left, just a little bit. Sometimes it's helpful having the knees together or the feet together. You find what works for you. And slowly, with control, bringing your head to neutral and your knees to neutral, slowly changing the hand positions at the same time. Coming past neutral with the head turning towards the palm that is up and the knees drifting gently to the opposite side. And slowly, with control, once you're there, repeat that motion in the opposite direction. It's all about being able to have controlled movements. So slowly, with control, back to neutral, changing hand positions. Knees will drift gently to the opposite side that the head is going. And slowly, with control, bringing it all back to neutral. Allowing yourself to notice if it moves smoothly or does it kind of kook, kook, kook. Have a little jarness to it, a jarring. And if it has that jarring, it's that sensor motor amnesia. And with that, what we want to do is we want to sand it out, right? So we take it back just that little bit and we take it through again. As if we're repeating a pattern where there's missing information. We're repeating a pattern with missing information. And this is your opportunity to notice where there's missing information and help rewrite it, relearn it. Yeah, and legs go opposite to where the head goes. Because it's like when we're reading a sentence, we can skip words and we get the general gist of it. But when we read it all the way through with each word, we can gain more comprehension of it. One more time on each side for this one. And when you've done that one more time on each side, allowing your body to go to neutral. Allowing your legs to rest where they're comfortably. Allowing your arms to rest where they are comfortable. And so when you're ready, allow your body to relax any muscles that got engaged in that motion, in those motions. Allow everything to soften, everything to rest. And if it is all right for you, I invite you to straighten your legs. We're going to do what is called a hip hike. The arms can be rested beside your body or wherever they feel comfortable for you in this moment of time. So with a hip hike, we're going to think about that left leg first. Your feet will be spread apart a little further than your hip joints. We're going to think about slowly hiking that right hip up towards your right armpit, sliding it along the floor. And you'll notice as you do so, the opposite hip slides downwards towards your ankle to help you do this movement. Hold for a moment, then slowly release to neutral. And hip hike with the other leg. Thinking about that left hip moving up along the floor to the left armpit. And this is where it can get really tricky because it can be communicating a whole different movement. So allow your body to rest. Allow every muscle that got engaged to soften. And so when you're ready, after allowing the body to rest and reset, we're going to go back to that right leg and we're going to see how that movement feels as we do it. Hiking that right hip up along the floor towards that right armpit. Notice that left leg lengthen and slowly with control, lengthening that right leg. As we get to neutral, notice, can we switch into the left? Thinking about that left side body shortening as that hip rises up towards the left armpit and slowly with control, lengthening it back down. When you get to neutral, allow everything to rest, everything to soften. So you might notice that even your tongue or your cheeks got involved in that motion. So allowing them to rest. And when you're ready, I'm going to do the left again. Thinking about that left hip, shortening up to that left armpit, leaving the leg along the floor if possible. It's a whole different experience, right? And so it's not about big movements too. That's the other really beautiful thing about somatic movement. Less is more. And so as we're engaging these muscles that may have been offline for a while, we get to be curious about what motions have ease and which ones have a little bit more challenge. And then moving to the right leg, gently hiking that right hip up towards the armpit and slowly with control, lengthening it down to neutral. Once we're past neutral, think about extending that right leg down to the wall and notice that the left leg comes up just a little bit. And that might just be as far as the body goes today, and that's perfectly okay. Thinking about that left hip moving up to the armpit and slowly with control lengthening that left leg as that right leg gets a little shorter after you get past neutral. That right hip will start to rise up And then when you're ready, allowing yourself to go to neutral and let every muscle soften. Let every muscle rest. And if there's any that are still kind of firing or engaged, just see if you can invite them to soften just a wee bit more. Allowing everything to soften, everything to rest. And if it feels right for you, I invite you to just notice how the body feels at this moment. And when you're ready, allow yourself to turn over onto your stomach. Your hands can be stacked to keep your head comfortable. And whichever side is more natural for you to turn your head to, allow yourself to do that. And so taking a breath or two in this position, we're going to do a looking over the shoulder. Are you able to go the other way? Okay. And so we're going to look towards that right elbow. And if we can have that right palm against our cheek, we're going to think, because even doing things in our mind's eye is just as strong as doing the actual motion. And again, trusting your soma, if it's done with this position, allow yourself to move out of it slowly as you can. And so what we're going to think about is, may I connect? Okay, we're going to think about these 2 points coming together, our shoulder blade and our hip. And so we're going to gently, just at first, think about the elbow rising up, and as we imagine ourselves looking over that right shoulder. And so just imagining it can be enough, right? And then allow it to slowly, with control, go back to neutral. That's rest position. And then allow the mind and the body to let everything soften, everything rest. And when you're ready, if you want to try it, thinking about lifting the hand and the elbow up off the floor, thinking about looking over that shoulder, you can actually do the motion if it feels right for you. And if not, in your mind's eye is perfectly okay. So your hand will be, wherever it's comfortable. Thinking about looking up over that left shoulder. Sorry, I said left, I meant right. You're like, why am I going that way? Thinking about lifting and looking up over that shoulder, and that shoulder blade will shorten to the hip, and then slowly, with control, bringing it back down, and letting everything soften and everything rest. And so when you're ready, that's good. You trust your body. Adjust your body as you need. You might even need to turn the other way. And so we're going to speak through it just so you can hear it, but you don't have to do. You listen to your body and move as you need to. So thinking about that hand being glued to the cheek, gently lifting up the elbow, up over and looking over the shoulder, lifting that opposite leg up from the hip, thinking about that line shortening between the hip and the shoulder blade, and slowly, with control, allowing it all to go back down to neutral. And then when you're at neutral, let everything soften. Let everything rest. And for those that it's comfortable for, one more time. And if you want to just try the leg position, you can just try to do the leg lift from this position. But trust your body. That's lots. And then let it all go back to neutral. Let everything rest. Let everything soften. Allowing the head to go in whatever position it would like to. And when you're ready, after you've allowed the body to rest, letting the head turn to the left. And if it's all right for your arm, allowing it to be bent so you're looking at your elbow. Your left hand will be glued underneath your right cheek. For the thought of when we lift the elbow and the hand, we're going to engage that back line, looking up and over that left shoulder. And slowly with control, bring it back down to neutral. Let everything soften, let every muscle rest. Yeah. And so some people like it with the hand on the cheek instead of the back. And for some it's not. Some people it's too much in through the shoulder, and you just find what works for you, right? And so when you're ready, again, thinking about looking up and over that left shoulder, lifting that right leg. So just even thinking about shortening this line between the hip and the shoulder blade, and slowly with control, lengthening it back down to neutral. And then let everything soften and let everything rest. And one more time if it feels right for you. And again, in your mind's eye is even more powerful than the movement itself. Thinking about looking over that shoulder, just thinking about it, it's really powerful. That shoulder blade will draw and that hip will draw up as you think about lifting the quad. And then slowly with control, lengthening it all back down. And letting everything soften and everything rest. Allowing yourself to move back onto your back. And if it feels right for you, allowing the legs to be long or supported by a pillow. Letting yourself notice your body, your soma. Allow yourself to be cozy. And just like the Soma scan at the beginning, we'll take a moment here before we move back into a tilt and flatten, the same breathing technique we did at the beginning. So allowing your body to rest. Allow it to soften. And for that tilt and flatten, we're going to bring the knees up to the ceiling, the feet flat on the floor. You might have to squish the pillow or move it out. Allowing yourself to notice your breath. And on your next inhale, think about that belly button rising up to the ceiling. And as you breathe out, allowing it to soften, feeling the contraction in the abdomen as the back flattens to the floor. As we breathe in, that belly button rises to the ceiling, a gentle arch in the lower back, tip of the tailbone goes down. As we breathe out, tip of the tailbone goes up and back flattens to the floor. Allowing your focus to broaden again. Can you feel the wave up through the spine? And 2 more breaths here. Full cycles. 2 inhales, 2 exhales. Feeling that belly button rise and fall as the back flattens. And as it rises, the tip of the tailbone goes down towards the floor. As you exhale, the tip of the tailbone goes up a little bit to the ceiling. When you've done your 2 breaths, allowing yourself again to extend your legs out. And again, if it feels right to have a pillow or not, you do what your soma needs you to do. This is all about you listening to your body. It doesn't matter what I say. It matters what your body feels. And so allowing yourself to get cozy again. Noticing in through your body. Noticing your breath. Notice, does your breath reach further into your body than it did before? Or how is it different? Bringing your awareness into your head and scalp and face. Noticing the position of the head on the pillow or the floor. Is it different than it was before? Noticing into the neck. How does the neck feel? Are the tension patterns different? Moving our awareness now to the shoulders, the shoulder blades, and the chest. Noticing, is the placement of our shoulders different than it was before? Are they softer or further from our ears? Do they rest into the floor differently? Noticing into the shoulder blades. Do they feel different? Do the shoulders rest more to the floor or to the ceiling? Moving our awareness down through our arms, elbows, and into our hands. Noticing, are the hand placements different than they were before? Are they further away from the body or closer? Are the palms towards you or the floor or up to the ceiling? Moving our focus to the mid-back. Noticing the breath in the mid-back if it's different than it was before. Into the front rib cage and the abdomen, down to the lower back, hips and pelvis. Noticing if they're resting differently. Do they feel more even, more equal in height? Is there less tension through the pelvic girdle? Moving the focus down now to the legs, glutes, knees, shins, ankles, and feet. Noticing if they're different. Do they feel longer, lighter, or heavier? Does the tension lines feel different than they did before? And if your knees were bent when we started, how does it feel different to have your legs long? Or the opposite? And notice the feet and the toes. Is there a softness through them? And is their position in time and space different than when we started? Just allowing yourself to notice the differences from our first Soma scan. Allow yourself to be in your body with curiosity. And allowing yourself a few more breaths here. And when you're ready, laying on your side, whichever side your heart desires. And taking your time to re-arrive in the here and the now. And I want to thank you for being curious about your body. and experimenting and witnessing it in a new way. Remembering gentleness is key. If you do this exercise again, in the mind's eye can be more than enough. And with the one where we're looking over the shoulder, there's a way to do it when we're just on our back as well. We think about laying on our back, and we'll have the head turned to the side that we're going, and the shoulders can be wherever they feel comfortable. Thinking about looking over that, let's say the left shoulder, we'll engage it gently into the floor, and then let it all soften and relax back to neutral. And then when we're ready to do the leg part, we think about that looking over the shoulder and gently pushing into the floor, and same with the leg, gently pushing into the floor. The opposite leg to the opposite shoulder. Remembering that controlled, slow, steady back to neutral, and letting everything soften and everything rest. Thank you.